What's up, Charger Nation? I'm coming at you with just a crazy trade proposal here that the Chargers have been linked to, and it's not going to take you very long to figure out who this one is for. It just isn't, so I'm not going to beat around the bush. What's interesting to me is who actually reported that the Chargers were linked to this trade, and it is The Athletic. They don't do fluff pieces. This isn't getting it from a website that is little known or just trying to do clickbait or something like that. Like, this is a legitimate website that is talking about trade packages for Brandon Aiyuk, and they're saying the one. And here, I'll show it to you. This is the title. Brandon Aiyuk trade proposals. Could Joey Bosa offer tempt the San Francisco 49ers? Here's what we're learning about the 49ers when they are putting out Aiyuk. But before we get to that, let me ask you this question. It's a simple question. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Brandon Aiyuk or Joey Bosa? In this video, we are going to get into their contracts this year. We're going to get into their contracts going forward into the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years and things like that. We'll also talk about if the salary cap of the Chargers could handle Aiyuk. That's a big question. And then you have to ask yourself, do you want the talent on this team to be on the offensive side of the football at wide receiver, or do you want it to be at defensive end? And I'm going to tell you why it can't be in a vacuum. But give me your opinion in the comments below. What would you like to see? Would you like to see Bosa out of here? He can pair with his brother in San Francisco, and you bring in a known good wide receiver. All right, you bring in a known good wide receiver to pair with your rocket-armed quarterback. All very interesting to me. So let's look at what it is. And also, I thought this was pretty interesting. The other trade packages are Zach Harrison and a 2025 first-round pick from the Falcons. The Raiders, Malcolm Kuntz in 2025 third. There was rumor that Devontae Adams would be in that deal, almost like a straight-up, but that doesn't necessarily make sense for either team. Then you have the Chargers on here, and this one is interesting because it's Joey Bosa and a 2025 fourth-round pick. Do you think that would be enough to get it done is my question. All right, we don't need to go in here. We know who we moved on from. That's not a big deal. We know that Keenan and Mike Williams are gone. But here's the thing that are interesting. It says the Chargers have the cap space in 2024 and beyond to give him the type of extension he seeks. Something that happened when the new regime came in that Hortiz did that I really respect is he cleaned up the books. He cleaned them up. He took a big hit on some of the books this year to an extent, but you know, that was with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. So there's a lot of dead money there, but he cleaned up the books going forward. So there is money to spend while the 49ers have a large amount of money now. So the trade from a financial standpoint makes sense. If you look at Joey Bosa's contract, he is set this year to earn a good amount of money. All right, his cap hit this year is $26 million, and then it goes up to $36 million next year. Now, if he were to be released, if he were to be released after this year, it would be an $11 million cap hit. That's it. You can let him go. Don't even worry about it. Or, more likely, the restructure. Now, San Francisco is where people go to be healthy. He could be with his brother, all that kind of stuff. It does make sense to an extent. So, here's what you know. Currently on the books for the Chargers is $36 million next year. If you sign Brandon Aiyuk or if you bring him in, you would have to give him the extension that he seeks. We'll talk about that in just a second. Right now, this year, his base salary is $14 million. The club has picked up his option on his rookie contract because he was a first-round draft pick, so they get him for $14 million this year, by far making the most that he has made in his career. He has not gotten the bag yet, all right? So when you look at this, when they pick that up, they need to extend him. How much is that going to cost him? If you look at Spotrac, they're saying the market value for him, and right now the website is lagging behind, but they say the market value for him is $26.2 million. This is old. This is not correct. I just want to be clear. You're not getting Brandon Aiyuk at $26.2 million annually. All right. This is the guy who said if you want a Ferrari, if you can't afford a Ferrari, don't buy one, right? It was either that or a Lamborghini. He was talking about the 49ers. We know how he views himself. We know how he views himself. All right, he views himself as one of the best wide receivers in the game, a top 5 wide receiver, so he wants to be paid like it. If you look at the top 5 wide receivers, Jefferson at 35, all right? Jamar Chase is about to be at $35 million and $1 or $36 million. A.J. Brown got $32 million this offseason. Amon-Ra St. Brown got $30 million. Tyreek Hill already had it. Waddle this offseason got $28 million. You think Brandon Aiyuk is going to take less money than Waddle? This is going to be somewhere in the $30 to $35 million range per year type of extension. That is what he is going to be looking for, and he is going to settle for nothing less. So can the Chargers afford it? And the answer is yes. It would actually help the books this year. It would get them more money. All right. It would actually free up about, with the trade, it would be the $11 million dead cap, so it might only free up about $1 million. But next year, their total cap space, if you look right here, is $52 million. That is with $36 million going to Joey Bosa. So if you're going to pay Brandon Aiyuk, let's say $32 million, then that number is actually going to go up to about $56 million in cap space. So we would actually, as an organization, make money from trading Bosa for Aiyuk. The difference is you're on the hook for longer because you're going to have to sign him to a 3 or 4 year contract. If it's a 3-year contract, you're looking in that $35 million range. If it's a 4-year contract, you could probably get it in that $32 million range just because security is absolutely there. So the question you have to ask yourself is, does it make sense for both teams? All right, first we'll look at the 49ers. To me, when I look at their starting lineup, I think they have been known for having a great defensive line, but they clearly want better edge rushing. They tried to bring in another Ohio State player. I don't like Ohio State, just to be clear. Remember, we followed Jim Harbaugh over to the Chargers, so I don't like talking about all these Ohio State names. The Bosas, fine, I get it. I respect them. Even Aiden Hutchinson at Michigan compared himself to a Bosa, so I'm fine with it. But Chase Young, it's hard for me to talk about. But they tried bringing him in to be that great 1-2 punch with Bosa at the end of last year. It didn't work. All right, they have Leonard Floyd here. He's old. He's 32 years old this year. Like, that's just not where it's going to be. So it absolutely makes sense from a 49er perspective. They just drafted Pearsall. They have Debo. They have Kittle. They have plenty of weapons on the outside. Does it make sense for the Chargers? If you are getting rid of Bosa, it allows Tui to absolutely come in and play. Like, Tuli is a good player, and it would allow him to be a full-time player. He's just it's his age 22 season. He's very, very young, and you could see what his ability is. But then after that, it's Khalil Mack is old, all right? He's 33 years old this year. And so how many more years does he have left? What does he have left in the tank? He had a career resurgent year last year after 2 down years. You thought that he was going to stay down. He didn't. All right, Bud Dupree, he's old. All right, and you know what you're getting out of him. Overall, he's just been an okay defensive lineman. All right, so does it make sense? On the other side of the ball, you have Palmer, who's a good wide receiver. You have McConkey, and you have Chark. If you bring in Aiyuk, you just kind of flip your position. You go from having one of the best defensive edge units, all right, if not, I mean like a top 3 defensive edge unit in the NFL, to probably having an edge unit that's top 10 or 15. They're not weak, but they're no longer just this ultimate weapon. And if you bring in Aiyuk, now all of a sudden your wide receiver core goes from being a bottom 5 in the NFL to a top, I would make the argument, top 10, top 15. So you're evening out your team more. The question is, what do you value? And if I know Harbaugh, if I know Hortiz, then they value defense. They value being able to stop the opponent more than anything else. I think they'd rather spend a lot of money on an edge rusher than they would on a wide receiver, but that's just me, and that's just looking at their track record in the past. So let me know what your thoughts are as a Chargers fan. What would you rather see? All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.